Good morning. This is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. We're tracking a talent quake at Google, SpaceX turning compute into a business, and Washington's new pre-release framework for advanced models. I've got Orion with me, ready to jump in?
Ready. Let's get into it.
Leading us off, CNBC reported on June 22nd that Alphabet had its worst day in over a year after more senior AI departures. Gemini co-lead Noam Shazir heading to OpenAI, and DeepMind's John Jumper reportedly to Anthropic. Orion, what's the market reacting to?
It's the signal, not just the names. When top researchers leave back-to-back, investors hear roadmap risk and execution risk on Gemini. It suggests internal pressure, and it strengthens rivals at the exact moment model quality and iteration speed are the whole game.
Is this about morale, money, or product direction?
Usually a mix, but product direction is the multiplier. If teams disagree on shipping priorities, research versus product, open versus closed, safety gates versus speed, people vote with their feet. And nothing spooks Wall Street like a resignation letter.
Staying with big moves, CNBC reported on June 22nd that SpaceX inked an up to $6.3 billion computing deal with open-source AI startup Reflection, commercializing its Colossus data center. Orion, what exactly is SpaceX becoming here?
A serious compute landlord. Colossus isn't just an internal engine now, it's being positioned like a cloud for training and inference. CNBC notes other Colossus agreements with Anthropic, Google, and Cursor, so this looks like a broader strategy, not a one-off.
Reflection isn't a household name. What do they do?
They're described as an open-source AI startup, so think models and tooling that can be run outside a single vendor's walled garden. For a company like that, dependable access to massive compute is oxygen. For SpaceX, it's revenue and leverage in the AI supply chain.
On the policy front, Mundak reported on June 22nd that the White House issued an executive order creating a voluntary federal framework for pre-release access to certain advanced AI models, with agencies asked to move fast, 30 to 60 days on guidance. What's actually changing?
The U.S. is formalizing a test-before-wide release pathway focused on cybersecurity. The reporting ties it to newly announced frontier models, Anthropic's Mythos and OpenAI's 5.5 Cyber in limited testing, and it points to a clearinghouse concept plus CISA-directed guidance.
Voluntary sounds soft. Does it bite?
Indirectly, yes. Even voluntary frameworks become de facto requirements when big buyers, insurers, and regulators start asking, did you follow the federal playbook? It also sets expectations for what responsible pre-release access looks like, especially around security testing and controlled evaluation.
Hardware next. CNBC TV18 reported on June 23rd that Qualcomm is in advanced talks to buy AI chip startup Modular for about $4 billion. Orion, what's the strategic intent?
Qualcomm is trying to expand beyond smartphones into data center and AI processors. A $4 billion move signals it wants more control over its AI silicon stack, performance, power efficiency, and the software ecosystem that makes chips actually usable at scale.
And Modular, what's the quick snapshot?
An AI chip startup, so likely focused on accelerators and the surrounding system design, interconnect, memory, and compiler layers. If Qualcomm buys them, it's partly talent and intellectual property, and partly speed. Building competitive AI silicon organically can take too long.
A few more you should have on your radar. Yahoo Finance on June 22nd covered Satya Nadella warning about AI power concentrating and urging cheaper, more accessible models. And Politico, also June 22nd, says kids' online safety fights are bogging down a broader U.S. federal AI bill. What do you hear in that?
Nadella is positioning Microsoft as the broad access counterweight to a pure frontier arms race. Pricing, distribution, and control will be battlegrounds. On Congress, bundling children's safety with AI rules turns one hard problem into two, and it can freeze legislation while the tech keeps moving.
Capital and supply chains are shifting too. Crunchbase News on June 22nd says robotic startups have raised $18.8 billion in 2026 so far, already above all of last year. And Crypto Briefing June 22nd reports Baidu pushing a full-stack play, Kunlunsen chips, Ernie 5.1, plus selective NVIDIA H200 access.
Robotics fundraising at that level says investors think the demo phase is ending. More revenue, more deployments, more consolidation. Baidu's approach is pragmatic, build domestic silicon and models, but still grab top NVIDIA hardware where possible. Full stack is about resilience, not elegance.
Internationally and commercially, The Star on June 21st says Canada introduced Bill C-34 to regulate chatbots and some online services, and Business Insider on June 22nd reports Amazon is buying ChatGPT ads, while still limiting third-party chatbot access to its shopping catalog. What's the pattern?
Governments are trying to define responsibility for chatbot behavior, but the details will decide whether it's meaningful. And Amazon's move is classic platform strategy. Use AI surfaces for customer acquisition, but don't hand over your product graph to outside agents. Data is the moat.
Last one, info-reality check. Axios on June 22nd quoted an NVIDIA executive saying next-gen systems largely solve data center water challenges via new cooling designs. Though adoption will take years, should we be reassured?
Reassured, but not relaxed. New cooling can reduce water stress, but the installed base is huge, retrofits are slow, and local constraints still matter. It's a reminder that AI progress isn't just model weights, it's pipes, power, permits, and sometimes the nearest reservoir.
That's Xpulse AI Morning Mix from Xpulse for Tuesday, June 23, 2026. If this helped, share it with a coworker who lives in 5 tabs at once. See you next time.